what Mary Shelley would have thought of Guillermo del Toro's adaptation of her work. His movie, which came out late last year in 2025, starring Oscar Isaacs as Victor Frankenstein, was a remarkable movie that I greatly enjoyed watching. It's a movie that I feel truly captures the feeling of the story, the nature of it, rather. And this is coming from someone who has not read the book, but who has seen countless adaptations of this work. Even having not read the book, which I hope to someday, this movie somehow manages to create this feeling, this atmosphere, that really makes this movie feel special to me. I think it's because with most Guillermo del Toro projects, he puts a lot of care and effort into his works. So to see that same level of care replicated here, it's just, it's what you expect from a Del Toro movie, and to see it done so well is just truly awesome. This story is, I feel, quite captivating in the sense that it's a father and son story. I mean, the opening of the movie shows a young Victor and his relationship with his father and how rough things got, and how in the end he decided to channel his frustrations with his father into proving himself to him, even long after he died, by reanimating the dead, doing the impossible and conquering death. Well, while I describe it in that manner, it may seem over the top and it may trigger someone to roll their eyes, but this movie handles this story in a way that is really beautiful and at times disturbing. This is technically a horror movie to some extent, and it definitely doesn't shy away from the graphic nature of the story. A lot of the practical effects that show a lot of the gore in this movie are done incredibly well, especially early on, showing how the previous experiments that Victor tries to do, such as the one which takes place in the university, or the one on his table where his love interest convinces him to take a look at everything symmetrically and then cracks the code. It's definitely a well told story through its visuals and through its message, and of course the acting. Again, love Oscar Isaacs in this movie. As the story progresses, Frankenstein's creature comes to life, and we start to see the same relationship between Victor and his father reflected here. Well, not exactly the same, of course, but a lot of similar motifs are replicated here. And this movie, I think, nails this subject on the head. I mean, the relationship between the creature and Victor at first starts off with a lot of potential and then descends into something that's disturbing and hard to watch, especially as we learn more about the creature and who he is as a person, and how he has to come to terms with the fact that he is a monster in the view of society. And I mean, because he's literally a bunch of corpses stitched together. It's definitely macabre, but almost in a strange, beautiful sense. One of the things about this movie that I think helps the beauty of it is the color palette. This movie has incredibly vibrant colors, which is the case with most Guillermo del Toro movies, which I think helps makes this movie pop. I love vibrant colors. I'm a sucker for them. So to see it done here, I mean, it was just very pleasing to the eye. And the camera work as well. We get these a lot of wider shots which really wrap this world around you, and it gets easy to become lost in this world that Guillermo del Toro creates. And as the story progresses, as we learn more about the creature and even more about Victor himself and his shortcomings, but more specifically about the creature, as we learn more about the creature, we start to develop more compassion for him, especially considering that he turns out to be a rather kind-hearted soul, at least in the beginning. And as the story progresses, it gets more and more heart-wrenching to watch this. I mean, it's sad. It really is. And I think that this view of the story compared to previous adaptations is really interesting. I mean, one of my favorite adaptations of the story is Young Frankenstein. It had a hilarious movie, by the way. I'd highly recommend checking it out. It's a classic. Gene Wilder, Mel Brooks, amazing stuff. But even in that adaptation, which is definitely a spiff of the original movie from, I believe, the 30s, or maybe there was one even earlier than that. But either way, the story and the structure have been largely the same. Of course, we've seen other adaptations, countless adaptations of the story that have tried to make it feel new, like Frankenweenie or The Bride. But I digress. I'm happy to say that as far as original takes of the story go, or takes in general, this one not only is unique, but it is spectacular. This is also the first movie I watched in Alamo Drafthouse Theater, so maybe that helped with the experience because that was also incredibly unique. But, anyways, this movie, getting back to this movie, the thing about it that really sticks out to me is how this movie captures the relationship between Victor and the creature, which I know I've talked at length about already, but just the way the story ends, which I'll try to avoid spoiling the ending, but the way it ends, I feel is not only emotionally satisfying, but at the same time, it leaves a lot of questions that I think are healthy questions that I feel many people can take and relate to their own lives to an extent. Of course, not to the same extremity as Victor Frankenstein here or the creature, but it's a beautiful metaphor that I think is done really well. Overall, I think that while this movie does have a few nitpicks of mine, for instance, I think, well, I love Christoph Waltz in pretty much anything that he's in. I feel like his character could have been handled a little better. I feel like the ending of his character arc was a bit cliche, and that after a while you could see where this was going. And at one point, I was kind of like, how did Victor not put two and two together with what this character was seeking after he found out some critical information about him? But other than that, I mean, his character was done really well. Honestly, this is a movie that I struggle to give criticisms for because there's so much that I just really enjoyed about it. Honestly, I think it just comes down to personal opinion how you feel about this movie. It's certainly how I feel about this movie. But overall, I think I'm feeling an 86 for this movie. It's a great movie, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who's curious about it, anyone who likes Guillermo del Toro or anything adjacent. Definitely give this movie a watch. And thank you once again for being here. If you've returned to this channel, I thank you for coming back. And if this is your first time here, thank you for checking it out. I hope you stick around. But anyways, this has been my review. I will see you hopefully in the next review or in the next video, whatever it may be. Goodbye.